What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. LC Carbine and 10mm from Ruger. Testing continued. Today we have a pretty cool one. It's going to be a solid copper offering from S&B. I'm not going to try to say the real name. I know it's not that hard, but it is for me sometimes. This is XRG Defense. It's a solid copper hollow point round. It's a 130 grain hollow point. It's got a real big hollow point cavity in there, and then there are some skives on the inside, so it'll do its uniform expansion. It's a 130 grain solid copper projectile going at an advertised velocity of 1362 feet per second. Check out our 10mm ammo test playlist. We have shot this ammunition out of the 5-inch Delta Elite 1911 and the Springfield XDM Elite 3.8-inch OSP. Today we will be shooting it out of the 1911 again so that we get the 5-inch velocity, and then we can compare that to the 16-inch barrel out of the Ruger LC Carbine. We will shoot over a Garmin trying to capture the muzzle velocity, and as a backup and kind of trying to get impact velocity, even though it won't be too much different, we have the Caldwell downrange. We're going to be hitting two 20-inch 10% clear ballistics gel blocks for a total of 40 inches. I don't think we'll come out of the first gel block. These solid copper hollow points, they tend to put the brakes on pretty fast, but we always have a backup block. Now, this is a 130 grain projectile. That's kind of light, so those tend to go a little bit quicker out of the 16-inch barrel. When you get up to the heavier projectiles, sometimes they don't benefit from that big barrel, but the lighter stuff usually does. So it'll be really interesting, especially with knowing how these solid coppers usually open up. There should be pretty good impact change as far as early on violence in the gel block. That's my prediction, but enough talking. Testing explained. We're not texting, but let's get to shooting.
No texting.
Sorry. All right, we are right above the Garmin, and we are 15 feet off of the Caldwell and the gel. Let's see what happens. Like always with these tests, I'm going to try to go top left with the handgun and then probably a little bit bottom right with that rifle or carbine. I think that was a pretty good hit, maybe a little lower than I wanted, but not bad. 1296.9 on the Garmin and 1316 on the Caldwell. All right, there you go. There's our impact. A little bit of smokiness right there at the beginning, but not too terrible. Let's take a look from the side and get the tape on it. Okay, well, you guys are going to be disappointed. That's only like 485 foot-pounds of energy. I think if I just looked at that Garmin correctly, no matter what, I'll have it up in the corner just in case I was wrong. But we stopped at 13.5 inches. We have a bounce back from maybe 14, but wow, that's not really good for 10mm. I couldn't even remember what it did in the actual handgun test series. I didn't go back and watch it. We have a pretty looking wound channel. I mean, I can zoom in a little bit. You have a good looking hollow point type of an entrance like you would see from a normal cup and core or lead and copper jacketed bullet. It does go down to a piercing wound channel. It lands opened up face forward, and it does look like most solid coppers would do, except for out of a 10mm, you would expect to see a little bit more penetration and a little bit more violence, in my opinion. I didn't remember, like I said, exactly what we did in the pistol test. I don't remember it sticking out in my head as something super awesome. I did want to crank it up a little bit, I think, with our 10mm rebuild. But instead of doing that, let's just go ahead and send it through a 16-inch barrel. That's kind of like doing a rebuild. So let's see if we get any deeper. Let's take a look from the top when we're all done with both of them. It's kind of a pain in the butt to move that tent around. I'll give you a quick view right now from a kind of an odd angle to avoid the sun, but you do have the twisting, turning effect, and then the projectile lands face forward with its petals peeled back. You can't really see it because of the distortion in the gel right now. But not a bad wound channel, just not a very good one either. I will show you one cool, interesting part at the entrance. If you can kind of see that, there is like a corkscrewing effect where you can see this thing probably did open up just about immediately. So you can see where the petals must have had a total corkscrew. It looks like a little tiny volcano or a tornado, not a volcano, a tornado. All right, I really hope this improves because it's not too impressive out of a pistol at all. So like I said, lighter projectile usually produces a little bit better situation here out of the carbine. Very good hit, I think. Hopefully we can separate that out. We didn't get a reading out of the Garmin. I might have set it a little bit wrong, but we got, I couldn't have because the Caldwell only says 1354. So we did get an increase, not a huge increase, and we just didn't pick it up on the Garmin. So let's go take a look at the block. Glad we always have a backup. 1354. We got a decent smack on that block, and I do think we have the same kind of corkscrewing effect going on right there. Pretty cool stuff. You can see it on the left and on the right. Let's go ahead and straighten up the tape and take a look from the side. Well, guys, sometimes things just aren't that impressive. Those were good hits on the gel. We can see the difference. We got a little bit more penetration out of this one. I think it went to at least 14 inches is where it's resting, 14.5 with a bounce back. Same kind of wound channel, though. We have a very, you know, settled down piercing type of wound cavity going back to the initial early disruption of any kind of a hollow point, whether it's copper or lead. But yeah, we don't have any lost petals or anything like that. No super violence. I didn't see, we get a little bit of charring out of the beginning of that wound cavity instead of the other one, but you know, we didn't see any of the crazy combustion effects in the gel or anything like that. We could argue that it's possibly a little bit of a bigger wound channel as far as diameter, but you really can't tell. Gel's a funny thing sometimes. Plus, we're looking at this is a little bit closer of a wound channel as opposed to that one. A little bit deeper, but that's about it. So really not super impressive. We might have increased the foot-pounds a little bit, but we really didn't increase the performance much at all, in my opinion. Let's take a look from the top. All right, for once we actually have a pretty darn good clear picture from the top. You see a little reflection. Sorry about that. But yeah, side by side, there's really not much of a difference. You can just say maybe the twisting, turning angle right there may be a little different. But these things perform pretty darn identical, except for their landing positions. We're going to get them dug out, see if they look any different, but in the gel, man, just not much of a difference. All right, here we go. Here's out of the 5-inch 1911, and here's out of the 16-inch carbine. As to be expected, you have more pushback on pedals and a little bit of a deeper pushback than you would out of the handgun. The increased velocity has more violence effect on the bullet, therefore we put the brakes on usually and we slow it down, but this one did make it a little bit further. There's one more angle to look at it before I flip them over. Looking at it from the back, you can see the difference in the pedal back right there. Definitely out of the carbine, they've started to peel beyond the normal flat level. Here on the pistol, they're pretty much level with that piece of wood, so they didn't start the ultimate curl yet. The diameter out of the handgun is 0.638 inches, and the final diameter out of the carbine is 0.674 inches. We shouldn't have lost any weight, but we'll check it just for fun. Out of the handgun, we have 129.5. And out of the carbine, we have 128.2. And people are going to say I didn't do that right because I didn't let it zero, but okay. It zeroed, and there we go, 128.1. Okay, so a little bit in between 125 and 130. If we add both of them together, we come up with 257.7. So if you double tap something or some whatever, you'd end up putting that many grains in them. So they did what solid copper hollow points that are skived usually do. They uniformly expanded, and depending on their velocity, they did different things as far as penetration. There's the information. Use it as you see fit. Let us know in the comments what you think about it. Hope you're enjoying our carbine testing. Thank you for watching this video, and until we see you at the next one, stay safe, have fun, and keep on shooting.